Hello, welcome to the Mama Circle podcast with me, your host, Nat. This is a podcast all about modern motherhood and how we can often find ourselves in that interesting gap between what we expected and the reality that we're actually in. If you're brand new, welcome. I hope you like what you're going to hear. If you are returning, thank you for being here with me again. So I want to speak about something that I think every single person on this planet has probably experienced, but something that I think is really acute for moms. And that is when you meet someone and they might say, "Hey, how are you today?" And you reply, "I'm fine. I'm good." Variations on that. I wonder how often, if we were to count that up during a day or a week, how often we would actually reply with those words, "Oh, I'm good, I'm fine." It's just a kind of automatism that most of the time is maybe true enough. You're not lying, but it's also not the whole truth. There's a little bit of editing going on. And while editing is normal, it's part of being human, I do think that we all need to have a place where we can show up without editing, without filtering. And I think that this is something that is very underestimated. I think that it's something that contributes to poor mental health when we don't have that. It's something that contributes to feeling loneliness and like we are lacking community, can lead to feelings of shame and embarrassment. And it's something that on some level, when I think about, if you were to look at the average person and look at the people around them, their family, their friends, their colleagues, the people who they come into regular interaction with, the fact that there might only be one or two, if we're lucky, people who we can show up to completely unedited, where we can be our whole selves. It kind of makes me sad that that ratio is not higher. Like I said, it's normal to edit ourselves, right? We're going to speak differently depending on who we're speaking with, and we're socialized to do that for good reason. We do not go to work and spill our whole life's drama to our boss most of the time. The way that you speak to your mum, or the things that you speak to your mum about, probably will be completely different to how you would speak about that same topic to your partner, right? Or the mum that you've met at soft play or the kid's birthday party. You may not go into such detail about the state of your relationship, for example, because you just met. Filtering is normal. Filtering is not fake. And thank God for filters, honestly, sometimes. And there are people who are not able to recognize when a filter is necessary. And that's, we do filter people out then according to what role can they play in my life. So, we'll filter people out and we'll find out that this person, I feel like I can trust them. They're loyal. They're going to be there for me. They become, a friend, and maybe they become a very close friend. And maybe they become that person who you can turn to when, you're not feeling great. There's something going on in your life. But the thing is that friendships are not always enough. Because, and I suppose it's not just friendships, but in order for us to be able to show up and share the things that we really in our heart of hearts need to share, the things that maybe we haven't ever said out loud, or that have been occupying lots of space in our heads for the past week, or whatever it might be, very often there's not the container there to hold the thing that you want to say. What do I mean by container? I mean a boundary around what this conversation is going to be about. So think about it. You might meet up with your friend for a walk and there's no real agenda, right? There's no crises going on. It's not been like, "Oh my God, I need to speak to you. Can we go for a walk?" It's just, "Hey, do you have time? The weather's nice. Okay, let's go." And you might be ambling along, having a really nice conversation with your friend, but deep down inside of you, there's something that's been really niggling at you. Maybe something to do with your relationship that that you can bring to this friend. You know that you can, but you're not sure if now is the right time, because maybe they're sharing something that's going on in their life that's a little bit kind of trying, or you've only got 20 minutes for this walk, or you don't know if she's got the emotional capacity, the mental bandwidth to be able to hold this thing that you're going to say. This is why having a specific container is so important in terms of us being able to feel like we can show up and share. And also because friendship and family, they have different rules. Our friends and our family, they love us. They have our best interest at heart. They might launch into this issue that's going on in our relationship. You might have a friend who interrupts. You might have a friend who listens and waits until you finish speaking. But there will be some advice that's been given. There'll be a reaction. There'll be maybe judgment, maybe not necessarily about you, but maybe about your partner, for example. They might relate it back to themselves, because this is how conversation goes. Like, conversation is a two-way street. I say something, you say something, we resonate here, we disagree there. Conversations wander, and that's beautiful. That's, one of the most beautiful things that I love about connecting people is when conversations can meander and we can talk for hours and kind of get lost in things. It's beautiful, but it's very different, and it can make that conversation feel a little bit like, can I actually raise this here right now? I'm not sure. Which is why every single person on this planet needs to have a place where they can go and they know this container, you're allowed to bring whatever it is that you need to bring here. Therapy might be like that. You might go in there and know that you can speak about anything from your childhood to your finances to your partner. And you know that the person sitting opposite you is expecting you to bring something. They might not know what, but they're expecting you to bring something. They are prepared for that. They are emotionally, mentally ready for that. They're not kind of being assaulted by this like big thing that you're going to drop on them. And you know that you've got like an hour or 50 minutes or whatever. That's a very, very different feeling that you can then kind of be in that space in and think, I want to talk about this thing that's been weighing heavily on me, as opposed to I'm walking, along the river with my friend and I don't know, how can I bring this into conversation? Like, do we have enough time to go into it? Yada, yada, yada. It's also, to be honest, one of the reasons why I started the Mama Circles, which started way before the Mama Circle podcast. So I started the Mama Circles when my son was probably, I want to say around 3 months old, something like that. Because I was recognizing, like, I am feeling things and I'm thinking things that I don't necessarily feel safe bringing up with my friends or in other places in my life, because either these people don't have children yet, so I feel like they don't understand, or it just didn't feel right. And I wanted to be in a space with other people who would understand the challenges that I was going through at that time. And so that's why the Mama Circles were born. You had held women's circles before the pandemic, so I'm used to holding that kind of space. I love holding that kind of space. And for me, it just felt like this motherhood thing is so enormous. Like, I need to have a space where I can go and share unfiltered and just kind of unload what's going on in my life. And that's also why I created It's a Lot, because motherhood is showing me so far that it's not getting easier, it's just getting different. And in many ways, it's getting more and more challenging. And I'm very lucky that I have a therapist that I see every 2 weeks. I'm very lucky that I have a listening partnership, which is, kind of like a Mama Circle, but with 2 people, that's been going on for years now. And I know that I can show up there. But even within that listening partnership and even within my therapy, there are things that I just want to share with other moms who get it. And it uses those same principles, right? There's a reason why women's circles, my Mama Circles, It's a Lot, are structured the way that they are, because structure is not restrictive. Boundaries are not restrictive. I think we can tell ourselves that they are, and, but if we only have like this amount of time, then, we won't be able to get into that. Or if we only keep it to this topic, then what about if I need to talk about X, Y, and Z? Actually, what happens is structure and boundaries create freedom. If you know that everything that's inside this agreed boundary is allowed, you can let yourself go. If you don't know, then chances are you're not going to share very much, right? It's like, are you going to tell the cashier in Tesco's that you've got this terrible relationship with your mom, and now that you're a mom yourself, it's tearing you apart and you don't know what to do? Like, no, you're not going to share that, because there is no boundary for that conversation. You don't know if that is even allowed to be broached. You don't know how they're going to take it. You don't know how long it's going to take. There's people behind you in the queue. When you know you can come in and bring this thing, it creates freedom. For me, the structure that we use in the mama circles and in It's a Lot is 10 minutes. And it was so interesting to me when I first started running the mama circles. And I would say, like from the very first session, we're going to be sharing, and everyone is going to get between 10 and 15 minutes to share, uninterrupted. It was so interesting because pretty much every mom was kind of like, that's a really long time to talk uninterrupted. And it was amazing how you would go from seeing someone who found it really difficult to share what she wanted to share for 10 minutes. You would see how that would progress to, by the end of the 10 minutes, she's still mid-flow. She's not managed to get everything out yet, because it's so rare that we get to be in space with someone and have a certain amount of time where we can talk and say the things that we need to say without interruption, without criticism, without advice, without judgment. Also, it means that in a group setting, everyone gets equal time. So a really typical thing might be a mum and baby group, right? Maybe there's like 6 or 7 of you, you're sitting there with your babies, and hopefully someone's facilitating this, but it'll be like, why don't you introduce yourself? What's your name? What's your baby's name? A little bit about like your life setup. There'll always be one person, maybe more, but there'll always be at least one person who can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And they'll tell you their names, their kids' names, their husband's names, where they live, their IVF journey, the traumatic childbirth, the this or that. And they might talk for like 15 minutes. And then there'll be that one mom, maybe more, but usually at least one mom, who is kind of sitting there quietly, who takes up the least amount of space, who maybe feels like there isn't even enough space for her to share in. It's not because she doesn't have things to say. It's because when there's no structure, it's very easy for quiet people to sink into the background, and for the more outgoing people, the more gregarious people, to take up more of that space. For me, it was really important, and is really important whenever I'm doing any kind of group facilitation, that there is some kind of boundary, that people know, okay, I've got 10 minutes to share on this, so that the ones who usually dominate are very gently held and learn to leave some space for other people, but also for the mums or the people who usually stay very quiet to know that there is a space available and waiting for them, and that they can learn to take up more of it. I've had very consistent feedback over the last few years about how authentically I share and how openly I share, and I say things that other people maybe don't. And for sure, a part of that is just personality. Devil's advocate, I'm a little bit of an oversharer at times. But also it's because I've seen with my own eyes what happens when we get that feeling of recognition. I've seen with my own eyes how other people then feel the permission, or take the permission, to also share what's going on for them. When you meet someone, you might be like, I really love this person. I feel like we could be a really good friends. Like there's just that great click. There's something that happens where you go beyond just talking about superficial things to becoming friends. There's a shift. There's a vulnerable moment where one person will open up and say, actually, I'm not doing really well with my relationship, or actually my mental health's not really good, or actually we've been trying to have a baby and it's not quite happened. There's a moment where we go beyond the superficial and we tentatively put ourselves out there. And in the best case, that is met with recognition, and that's what creates a friendship. When I was facilitating mama circles, it was always very important to me that I, at least for the first 1 to 2 sessions, would share first. So, it might be that the topic is sexuality. It might be that the topic is who we were before we became mums. I would share myself, so that people would get a feel for how it feels to listen to someone share, but also, I guess, to kind of set the tone that everything is allowed here. And there are things that I have shared in mama circles that I have never shared anywhere else. And it might be nerve-wracking for me a little bit to kind of share, because I don't know these people and I don't know what they're going to take from it. But by me sharing my honest truth and knowing that we're not allowed to give advice, we're not allowed to criticize, we're not allowed to interrupt, I'm going to share what it is that I need to share or what I want to share. And I'm going to trust that it's going to be held in this container that we are co-creating, with the rules that we are co-creating. It was always amazing to me to see how okay, I'm allowed to share that kind of thing here. This is allowed. There's space for that here. That recognition that me too. I think it's something that we really overlook. And I think especially when we are moms and, we're going through things for the first time, maybe also for the second or third time, but, to be in a space where you can just share the thing that is happening to you and that other mom will get it. Might not look the same for her, but every mom will get it. I guarantee you, any mom that you see who their kid is having a tantrum, like the biggest tantrum you have ever seen, if you were to walk past that mom or, just lock eyes with her, there's there is that look that passes between mums that oh my God, I feel you, I know that. It's just that alone, sometimes that moment of connection that, it's not just me. She knows what I'm going through. This is a lot. I'm feeling dysregulated, but there's someone else who recognizes what I'm going through. That is priceless. And I think that's something that we need to have more of. We need to realize that we're normal. We're not the only people who are carrying this thing. And there is 10 billion people on the planet. Chances are it's never just you. But we can get ourselves into spaces where we think it's just me. No one else knows what this feels like. No one else is in my relationship. No one else is in my house. No one else is in my head. Those things are true. But we are human beings having a human experience. We are moms having a motherhood experience. Our children might be really different, but there will be certain elements that we can absolutely all identify with. And being in a space where we can just say, this is what I'm moving through right now. And it is really hard. And I feel like people in my outside world don't understand me. Or this amazing thing happened and I just want to share it here. When we allow ourselves to share those things, we allow other people to take the permission to share them too, and to feel like they're not alone. And when we do that, especially with the hard things, we kind of bring color into that gap between what we expect motherhood to be like and what it actually can be like. It's what is it? Is it word searches or a crossword, whatever it is? We'll have the opportunity to start, okay, I can add this thing in here and add that thing in there. And now the gap between me being here and where I thought I would be doesn't seem to be so big. There's context, there's nuance in there. And I think that this is something that is so missing. It's the reason why I started this podcast, was because I wanted to create also a container where anything to do with motherhood, we can bring it here. We can speak about it. We can break it down, contextualize it, so that other moms and people who are on the journey to becoming moms can recognize themselves in it, can feel like they're not alone, and can also think, okay, this is maybe something that I should go speak to my partner about, or to my therapist, or something I should go journal about. I've got it on my radar. It's not this thing that's going to be thrown at me. I actually think that building those kinds of communities where we can just show up in our whole truth and know that there's space for it and that it will be held is probably one of the more profound things that we can do for maternal mental health. If there's one thing that I would love for you to take from this episode, it's this. You do not need to tell everyone everything. And it's definitely not advised to do so, because there are some people who cannot be trusted with your truth. There are some people who don't deserve access to you in that way. And also, it's just not appropriate. It's just not appropriate to share certain things with certain people. You don't have to be completely unfiltered in all areas of your life now. And actually, please don't, because that's maybe encroaching on someone else's boundaries. Like, being a leaky person is not necessarily a good thing. But I really do hope that you have at least one place where your whole truth fits, where you can be your whole self, where you can share the thing that maybe sounds really ugly, that you wouldn't necessarily put on social media, or you wouldn't say to your partner because that could set off a bomb, or that you wouldn't want to say to your mom or to your best friend. I hope you have one place where you can say the thing, where you can just get it out of your mind, stop letting it take up like real estate in your head, but also process it and think, do I really feel like this? Or is this just a passing thought, a passing feeling that I'm having? One place where you don't have to decide which parts of yourself are acceptable, because all parts of you are acceptable. And, the saying, it takes a village, we are not meant to be doing this by ourselves. We're not meant to be in silos. We're not meant to be wondering if we are freaks of nature because of the thing that we're going through, right? Sometimes, actually often, I think, the greatest gift that we can give to each other isn't necessarily advice. It's not to be fixed. It's simply saying, me too. Even if I don't 100% relate, I understand. I get it. I feel it. Me too. So you've heard me mention It's a Lot a few times in this episode, and I'm going to take a moment to tell you about it, because that is exactly what we've just been speaking about. It's a Lot is a WhatsApp group for moms where we come and there's a prompt each week, and we will share for 10 minutes via voice note what's going on for us. You can also share by text, but we tend to do it by voice notes now. This group's been going for over a year. We've seen breakups, new babies, house moves, deaths in the family, and the consistent feedback is gratitude for a place where we can share in an unfiltered way. I share, and the other mums in there share as well. It's free for a month. You can join us. It costs €10 after that, and it's a place where absolutely everything is held in the biggest confidence. If you're interested in joining us, then take a look at the link in the show notes or on my website, nataliekmartin.com. You'll find all the information over there. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this episode. I hope that you've taken something from it. I would love it if you would leave me some feedback. Please go to the stars, press however many stars you think this episode or podcast is worth. And if you're not already, then please hit the follow button, please hit subscribe, and please share this with as many moms as you can, because the more that we can talk about these things, the more that we can create safe spaces and share our truths. Thank you for being here with me, and I look forward to seeing you back here for the next episode.